Hello everyone, this is Robert from Book of Mormon Editions, where we discuss printings, publications, and various editions of the Book of Mormon. This next video is regarding a Book of Mormon that probably is in my top 10 favorites. I wanted to get my resources together and make sure I had proper details in order to produce this video, because this video has as much to do with the Book of Mormon geography as it does with a specific edition of the Book of Mormon. This is the annotated edition of the Book of Mormon, where the first printing was started in about 2018. This is produced as a third-party edition by a group called the Firm Foundation, and the main influence for this is from a man by the name of Rod Meldrum. In the mid-2000s, there was some critical editorials regarding DNA testing in comparison to Native American peoples, as a criticism to the Book of Mormon being in a Central American location. Rod read through some of the data and found that there were outliers within certain groups in the Ohio River Valley and the American Midwest that better fit the Book of Mormon model. The long story short, Rod Meldrum proposed a new model of the Book of Mormon geography to be in the American Midwest, as opposed to the Mayan Indians or people of Central America. This new theory has become what's called the Heartland Model to describe the Book of Mormon geography to the Hopewell or Adena cultures of the American Midwest. These groups have an extensive exposure across the land to include mound building, trade routes, communication, and tribal integration. This Heartland Model cross-compares the archaeological aspect of the American Midwest to quotes and teachings of Joseph Smith. Among many evidences, the Heartland Model points to when Joseph Smith was visited by the angel who said that the records deposited in the hill nearby was an account of, quote, the former inhabitants of this continent, quote. Another talking point was some of the first missionaries were sent to preach to, quote unquote, the Lamanites living in Ohio and Missouri. I really can't do the Heartland Model justice, as I've just scratched the surface in this video. However, it's caught on with readers of the Book of Mormon and gained a great deal of momentum. Even the streaming service Living Scriptures has picked up some programming regarding this Heartland Model, and they have videos within their viewing content. Rod and his group have produced symposiums, videos, and study resources. I'd encourage you to look through their material for more information, as it's pretty comprehensive. Because of the increased enthusiasm of Book of Mormon geography, the group organized and created this annotated edition of the Book of Mormon. To date, there are over 25,000 copies printed. This is a large 9 by 12 table volume with blue hardback with gold lettering and a picture of Christ and the Lamb by Del Parson on the front. The spine bears gold titling also. The text of the Book of Mormon is similar to the 1920 text of Salt Lake and ends on page 503. Laced within the text are side notes, quotes, pictures, and supplemental materials that correlate with passages nearby. And this is extensive. Almost every page has some sort of research material that assists in the scripture study. Much of it has to do with maps, cultural, archaeological discoveries, or descriptions of Book of Mormon geography relating to the American Midwest. Also interesting about this edition is the use of text color. Red lettering refers to deity speaking. Blue italic is shown as scripture quoting, such as the Old Testament Isaiah sections, and regular blue is listed as angelic speaking. A lot of art within the volume was commissioned specifically for this annotated edition. And if the in-text supplemental material is not enough, there are 60 pages of additional indexes and reference material. I had a chance to have a conversation with Rod Meldrum about this edition and have seen him speak a while back. The Heartland Model is certainly persuasive. He says he's received a lot of support as time has continued onward. I will say this edition is critical of the Central American model of the Book of Mormon. Also, the church has remained independent of endorsing any physical geography of the Book of Mormon. They do encourage dialogue and responsible discussion. This annotated edition of the Book of Mormon certainly has assisted in the dialogue. On a personal note, I was referred to the edition by a friend who stated that she gave one of these to each of her adult children. I happen to agree with her that it's a pretty impressive printing. So this book can be obtained online, including Deseret bookstores and Amazon. I hope I've done this edition and the Heartland Model justice, as I'm limited in time and recommend you check out other resources on this as well. Thanks everyone for your support on this series. If you like what you've seen, please tell others about it. If you have a specific or unique edition of the Book of Mormon that you'd like reviewed on this series, please contact me at bomeditions@gmail.com. Best of luck, everyone.